To fabricate your own watercolor pans, these little guys, you will need the following: a weighing scales that can measure ounces, a couple of artist knives, a sheet of glass, pigments very finely ground, you need glycerine, ox gall, gum arabic, clove oil, funnel, honey, something to measure volumes of water in milliliters preferably. Most artists will use a muller, which is a glass grinder. I'm using a polished granite stone. It's harder and harder than glass, and it's used for tatlag, so it's very, very smooth. So one of the reasons for doing this is that you can make much larger pans of paint, and actually watercolor well made is very expensive. Other reasons would be that if you like a bit of texture in your paint, so not so finely ground, it's your choice, and the way you mix up your medium affects the way that the paint flows as well. That's it. Next step will be to mix in this, which I made up using all of these ingredients, with the pigments. Okay, this is cobalt blue. This is the medium that I mixed up using the honey, glycerine, the oil of cloves, the ox gall, and the gum arabic. Oh yes, and distilled water. You can use demineralized water if you can't get distilled water. There's no exact proportions. Different pigments act differently with the mediums, but you do have to get it reasonably liquidy because it will dry quite quickly. And you have to grind this. Because you're grinding it, it gets it to be very thin. And because it gets very thin, more moisture is exposed to the air, and so it can dry on you before you actually have a chance to put it into the pan. At this point you need to work quite quickly. It depends, I suppose, on the ambient temperature. It's a nice mild day here in Tuscany, so it doesn't mean it's cold. Okay, that's nice. The idea is to get as much pigment covered in medium as possible. Now, when you're grinding, you're doing two things. You're grinding the pigments up finer, and depending on what your end goal is, you make it very fine or have a little bit of grain showing. I like to have a little bit of grain showing, but not in this instance. In this instance, it's going to be very fine. Now, this is cobalt blue, and it's moving very nicely. Beginning to dry at the edges, that's when you know you have the mix of medium to pigment just right. Okay, that's great. There's a little bit on the stone. This is a Muller stone. It's polished granite. It's used for a lot of different things, but grinding pigments is one of them. Most people use a glass Muller. I prefer this. It's harder than glass. Okay, that's great. So, you need to work quite quickly. Quite a lot of pigment comes off there. Working from the edges inwards. Because it'll dry very quickly at the edges. See there, it's beginning to flake a bit. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's great. Now, that's one pan full of pigment, and that will be fully dry in the morning. Perfect for painting with. So I have my red, green, and 2 blues.